no viraktasya samadhi gunashalinaha mumukshoreva hi brahma jignasa yogyata Vivekinaha, a man of discrimination, viraktasya, of detachment, etc. Samadhi gunashalinaha, endowed with the 6 virtues of peacefulness, etc. Mumukshoho, with burning desire for liberation, eva, only, he, indeed. Brahma jignasa yogyata, qualified to inquire into the supreme reality. Mata is considered. A man who can discriminate between the real and the unreal, whose mind is turned away from the unreal, who possesses the 6 virtues of calmness, etc., and who is longing for liberation, is alone considered qualified to inquire into Brahman.
Namaste. So this shloka, and indeed this whole section in the beginning of Vivekacūḍāmaṇiḥ, is about the qualification of the sadhaka. In order to approach a qualified guru, the disciple must also be qualified. And these are the qualifications that are given. Basically, it boils down to the sadhana chatushtaya, the 4 qualities of sadhana that give one the qualifications to inquire into Brahman. Without these qualifications, the inquiry cannot bear fruit. So the people who come like on tourist flights to Tiruvannamalai are just out of luck because they don't have the qualifications. They haven't read the Shastra, they don't really know what is required of them, nor do they really want to cultivate such exalted qualifications. But this is their problem. This is their big fall down. Because the qualification of the desire to know Brahman accrues only to a man of discrimination and detachment, who is endowed with the virtues of Shama, etc., and who yearns for liberation. Without the qualifications, you can't really desire liberation, mumukshutva. You can't really develop mumukshutva because it means giving up this material life completely. So without those 6 qualities, without these exalted qualifications, one is going to remain stuck in bodily consciousness. This is a fact. And according to this verse, one should not yield all through one's waking moments, even a little, to the impulses of kama, etc., till sleep or death overpowers. One should spend one's time in Vedantic thought. What does that mean? Vedantic thought means beginning with Aham Brahmasmi and to the conclusion Tattvamasi. I am Brahman and you are also that. And it should not stray into various conceptions of material enjoyment and so on. So if we see someone pretending to teach this Brahman consciousness, Advaita consciousness, Vedantic consciousness, but they are engaged with sense gratification of different types, both gross and subtle, such as the accumulation of power and money and so on. We can understand that they're not really serious, and they're not really to be taken seriously either. That these people want to put on a facade. They want to put on the image of being an inquire into Brahman, but they don't want to really do the work, because that means giving up all material enjoyment, beginning with kama, sex life. So unless this is given up, unless it's clearly given up, they cannot approach Brahman. Maybe they can approach Shiva Loka, Shakti Loka, even Vishnu Loka. But these are still within duality. They are still non-eternal, because at the end of the universe, they are vanquished along with everything else. They merge back into Brahman, and for an inestimable interval, they are non-different from Brahman. And then in the next creation, they come out again. So if one has not realized Brahman by the end of the material universe, he has to merge into Brahman and then be reconstituted again in the next creation. This is given by Vedanta Sutra. But if one can realize Brahman, even if he doesn't want liberation, he gets it anyway. Look at this verse. He who attains in himself the knowledge that annihilates the delusion that his body is his Atman and endows it with the same conviction as that which in ordinary life governs his identification with the Atman, with the body, such a person is released from bondage even though he does not wish for it. He gets liberation even if he doesn't want it. Because in this life, it is so easy to be convinced that I am my body. If we develop a conviction of that strength, that I am Brahman, then we get liberation automatically. We don't even have to want it. We don't even need mumukshutva. It will happen of its own accord. Because Bhagavad Gita gives the process, Yam yang vapi smaran bhavang tyajatante kalevaram. Whatever one is thinking at the time of death, that state of being he attains without fail. And so if one is always thinking Vedantic thoughts, if one is always absorbed in Brahman, if one is always having enjoyment and sport in Brahman, this is something you should really experience because it's so wonderful. Then at the time of death, one is automatically transferred to Brahman. There's even no need to even wish for it. This is the power of this Vedantic thought. But to attain that, we have to give up the materialistic thought that I am the body, I am the mind, I am the designations that are applied to this body, such as a name and family identity and position in some organization and all of that. That all has to be given up. That means we don't identify with it anymore. You know, just like one of the leaders in the Hare Krishna group used to call me by a derogatory nickname. And I simply ignored him. And I sent him an email. Look, if you respect our spiritual master, you should call me by the name he gave me, not some derogatory nickname. I will not respond to it. And so he chose to just break off contact, which is fine. Who needs these kind of verbally abusive ego trippers in the guise of sadhus? They're not necessary. They're just power tripping. And we see this in so-called spiritual organizations everywhere, that people conflate the power that they have according to their position in the organization with their personal power, and then they misuse it for personal enjoyment. So this is attachment. This is identification, not only with the body, but with the titles and designations attached to the body. the names and positions in the organization, and then misusing them for one's own personal enjoyment, the feeling of domination and control. So this is a disease. It's a spiritual disease that affects those afflicted with ego attachment. And so we want to avoid those people at all costs. We don't associate with them. We associate with the people who have broken their attachment to the body, to the mind, to the designations applied to the body, and so forth. And this is why when the spiritual master gives us a spiritual name, we go by that name. We don't take a nickname or some other designation, but we take this name given by the Guru because it is the name of the Atman, not the body, not the mind.
Om Tat Sat, Om Shakti Om.